It's Jenny from Across the Board Cake Decorating, and today I'm going to show you how to make an easy unicorn cupcake. First up, you need to grab 4 piping tips or more of any sort of different shape that you've got. You don't need specific numbers, just things that pipe different shapes. I've actually got 2 of the same. I'm just using them on different colours, and then we're going to pipe randomly over our cupcakes, alternating the colours so you get lots of different colours in there. It's a really good idea to have a focal point to put your horn on, but really it doesn't matter. Just go for broke. You don't need to be uniform about it. Just make it look pretty. Sometimes random makes the best pretty. Just filling in all the gaps now. It's actually quite a quick way to cover the cupcake, so if you're doing this for a child's party, it's not a lot of brain power involved in these. You just start piping and they'll either need more icing or they won't. Okay, so now our piping's done, we're going to move on to our horn. We're making the horn out of some fondant with some CMC or Tylose in it. Tylose is that white powder that's in the little tub. Now we need to knead some Tylose into our fondant, and I work on the 2-dip principle. Dip it in, knead it, dip it in, knead it. So we're going to roll a very long tapered log out of the fondant. When it's nice and long and skinny, it needs to be quite skinny so we can curl it up. Then we're going to hold the base of the log and start winding it around. I don't worry about glue, as this can make things quite sticky, and once it's painted it's all going to stay together anyway. So roll it around and roll it to a nice point. If your spiral's slightly uneven like mine was there, just give it an extra little roll. Break any excess off the bottom, and we're going to insert an uncooked piece of spaghetti into the base. Spaghetti is completely edible, and if it does get eaten, it's not a problem. It won't perforate any internal organs on the way down. Far, far preferable to toothpicks or wire. You can set this aside to dry, or you can paint it straight away, completely up to you. I've got a dry one to work on. I'm going to paint this with the Edible Arts Glamorous Gold. You just need to give the paint a shake, and then you can pour some out. You can pour it into a little bowl. I tend to work from the lid. It's one less thing I have to clean up. Grab a clean paintbrush and we just paint it on. There's no fuss involved in this, and it cleans up in water. It's fabulous stuff. And it gives a fantastic coverage as well, and you only need 1 coat. Just make sure you get all the way into the grooves, otherwise you'll end up with a little white stripe. Once it's painted, it's a good idea to set it aside to dry, because otherwise you're going to get fingerprints in it when you insert it into your cupcake. So I've got one I made earlier. Grab my cupcake, and this one's going to sit just at the back of the green swirl. So I tend to sit the horn in the middle or just ever so slightly to the front. And in he goes. If you don't want to use the spaghetti, you can just build up a larger blob of fondant for it, buttercream for it to sit in. Now we're moving on to the ears. Again, we need to dip the fondant into the CMC twice. When you're making 2 things that you want to be the same size, it's a really good idea to start off with 2 pieces of icing the same size. So just break them apart, roll them into 2 little lumps, lay them side by side and see if they're approximately the same size. They're about the size of a pea. From there we're going to roll each one into a teardrop. It also helps when you're making 2 things the same to make them together, not make one all the way and then the other. We're going to use our tiny little frilling tool to put a groove in, just to add a little bit of detail. And then I'm going to pinch the end and give it a little bit of a stem to help it sit right in the cupcake. And then lay them down side by side, and if you need to adjust them to make the look more similar, you can do that while the fondant's still wet. Again, you can paint this while it's wet if you'd like, but I'm going to use a dry set. And this time I'm going to use the Edible Arts Pastel Pink paint. Again, give it a shake up, you can pour it into a bowl. Again, I'm just going to work from the lid. This time I'm going to use a fine paint brush because it's a little bit easier to control in the confined space, and I'm just going to paint that hollowed out little spot. Now this is something extra you can do, it's not something you have to do, it just gives that little bit more detail. You could use gold, you could use pink, you could mix your pink with a shimmery white to make it a shimmery pink. You can do whatever you'd like. If you want to make the inside of the ears purple, you can make them purple. There are no rules that mean they have to be pink. Unicorns are a mythical creature, so they don't actually exist, so you can make them look any way you want. If you happen to go outside the lines when you're painting, just change where the lines are. Again, this is a cupcake that someone's going to look at and go, "Ooh, pretty unicorn," and then eat it. It's not a piece of art that's going to last into prosperity. So once we're finished painting them, I'm going to grab my cupcake and I'm going to pop my little unicorn ears in to the side. So in goes one. And in goes the other one. Now you can leave them there like that, but you know, it's always nice to add a little bit of bling. So I'm going to add some silver and some coloured cashews. You can just add these randomly. You can add edible confetti, you can add edible glitter, you can add stars, you can add some of those really cool sprinkle blends that are the trend at the moment. You can do whatever you'd like. If you find cashews are hard to manage, a pair of tweezers is always a good idea. But you know, every now and then a cashew has to roll across the table and onto the floor. Otherwise you feel like you're doing something wrong. And just a couple more in different colours. And that's it, guys. It's a very, very simple cupcake, and as I said, the piping is completely random, but they look so pretty.